What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of 2 a.m. in Sweden. I appreciate you all, as always, for just tuning in, listening to us, and just vibing with the homies all the time. I'm one of your hosts of the show, Hayes, aka AO Shifty, and I don't have my co-host today, but the one, the only, Steven at Steven_Springs. We're going to do a lot that's going to go on in this episode. So the various different topics we definitely do have to cover, of course. We have to go into what's going to be happening next week. We're going to be covering the college football playoffs. That's a huge thing that came out today. So I'll do my best. I know that's definitely Steven's wheelhouse, but all the tools, resources that the homies given me and just the studying of it, I'll work off of that. We're going to dive a lot into what's been going on in terms of the NFL. That's definitely something we'll talk about. And then we'll probably touch a little bit on what's been happening in fantasy football. So we'll kind of just dive into all of it, explain everything. I know you all have probably a lot of questions when it comes to what's been going on in the NFL. Probably have questions about what's been going on in the NBA. And yeah, we'll just kind of take it at that. So just to start off with, in the college football landscape, I'm going to start with what's happening with the playoffs, what happened last week, and then we'll just keep going into things. So in terms of the college football playoffs right now, the number 1 seed is Oregon. Number 2 seed is Texas. Number 3 seed is SMU, which is a big one. I didn't realize that. I should have known it before, but SMU is in the ACC. So that's why they're able to keep moving up. If you look, there are no other teams in the ACC but them. And number 4 is Boise State. So as long as Ashton Jeanty and them just keep winning, they will be solid. Number 5 is Penn State University College. Number 6 is Notre Dame. Number 7 is Georgia. Number 8 is Ohio State. Number 9 is the University of Tennessee. Number 10 is Indiana, which they're still hanging around, finding a way to end up doing this. Number 11 is Roll Tide, Alabama. And number 12 is Arizona State. A lot of people have their thoughts, feelings, and I would say differences when it comes to what's been going on with Alabama still being in it. Of course, they have their losses, and they're still kind of finding a way to just kind of get through it all. Looking through, we'll go to the games that happened last week and kind of we'll work backwards from there. So some of the highlights that did happen, of course, Tulane lost, so that kind of just pushed them out of any chance that they did have. Georgia Tech game. So a lot of people were tuned into that. I know I was out watching that game. 8 overtimes was insane just to see it, but it shouldn't have been that way because Georgia was losing. Georgia Tech just didn't know how to hang in there. I don't really know how that ended up happening. Boise State put a beating on Oregon State. They won 34-18. Ashton Jeanty went off for 226. Another thing I will say is the passing game for Boise State is not good. So that's the concern I do have. We'll either see that Ashton Jeanty is elite when he goes up against a lot of these different NFL defenses if they end up making it into the college football playoffs, or these defenses will expose that there is no passing game. And just watching the games, I was able to see that there really is no passing game that's there. They have receivers that are kind of there, but the quarterback situation is something that needs to be discussed and looked at a little bit more. Number 14, Ole Miss ended up beating Mississippi State 26-14 to keep their hopes alive a little bit. Colorado destroyed Oklahoma State, and Travis Hunter went off, Shedeur Sanders went off, which are 2 big things. Kind of just continuing to look down at it. That was the Friday games for anyone that didn't know. That was the Friday games. Saturday games were impressive as well. So Oregon still doing what Oregon does. They won. Michigan beat Ohio State, which was important. Texas beat Texas A&M. That was an expensive game for anyone that did not know the price of that. Just think of over $1,000 that you were spending on a ticket to sit on a bench. Not even your own seat, on a bench. Penn State definitely put a beating on Maryland, so they won 44-7. Notre Dame won. They beat USC 49-35. The University of Miami lost to Syracuse, which essentially kind of pushed them out of the college football playoffs, which is big in itself. Tennessee beat Vandy. SMU put a little beating down on California. Indiana won. It was Purdue. Clemson lost to South Carolina, so that kind of messed up their chances. South Carolina won 17-14. South Carolina is able to creep up a little bit from that. Alabama won against Auburn 28-14. Arizona State beat Arizona. Kansas State lost to Iowa, so that's kind of something else. Iowa was able to creep up a little. BYU did win, but it doesn't really mean as much. Missouri beat Arkansas, and then UNLV did beat Nevada. And kind of rounding that out, we do have number 23, Illinois. They did beat Northwestern. So kind of looking forward to a lot of things. What do we have to end up focusing on and looking at? So the first couple of things that you'll end up seeing from this, a lot of it is the championship games that we have this upcoming weekend. I won't be here for it, or I'll be traveling. So hopefully I'll be able to see some of it. I'll be on a plane, but I should be able to clock in to see some of these games, I'm hoping. But just kind of looking at everything, the first one, Boise State does play UNLV on Friday, so that's a game I do want to end up trying to check. Boise State has to win that game. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The other part about that is UNLV. It's important to see that UNLV, of course, earlier in the year had that whole situation with their quarterback, but they're still thriving. Army is in their game as well. They're playing at West Point, so that's an 8 o'clock game. Looking into Saturday, you do have, for the Big 12, Iowa State versus Arizona State. That's important. They're playing that in Texas. Then you have Miami of Ohio against Ohio, so the MAC. And then you have the SEC game, which is major just in itself. Texas against Georgia, that's at 4 o'clock. Louisiana against Marshall, that's not a huge game. It's not going to impact the college football playoffs. Oregon and Penn State, that's going to be an important game. They're playing that at Lucas Oil Stadium, so neutral site. Oregon has to come out east, and Penn State kind of should be able to have more road fans at that one you would expect, since it's closer to State College than it is towards Eugene, Oregon. 8 o'clock on CBS, and then to round it out, we have the ACC championship game, SMU against Clemson. SMU wins, that's important. If Clemson wins, that's kind of like their only hope. They are playing that in North Carolina, so Bank of America Stadium. You will have a lot of Clemson fans, especially since they're just down there in South Carolina. And that's the first part I wanted to bring up. The other part I just wanted to touch on with a lot of this is the discussions when it comes to who is the Heisman. So looking at it from the Russians' perspective, we do have Ashton Jeanty, who is like far and above the best of any of the running backs. He has 2288. He can continue to pour on that. Potentially, he should be able to get to, I would say, if he has a solid game, 2,500. Rounded out. If you could do 2,500, that'd be solid, but more than likely he'll finish around, I'd say, 2,350. No, 2,400. I could see him hitting 2,400, and they'll just call it a day at that. It won't be exactly what he probably wants. That round number is probably better. Caleb Johnson, of course, rounds it out, but the best running back should go to Ashton Jeanty. Then kind of just looking at it from the the receiver perspective, Travis Hunter as a cornerback has 1,152 receiving yards, 92 receptions, 14 touchdowns. That's just on one side of the ball. But then if we look at it from the other side of the ball, because, he plays both sides, let's see if we can figure this part out. They are going to show it. Okay. He has 4 interceptions. When you look at it this way, he does look more polished to be on the defensive side of the ball. To be on the offensive side of the ball, just looking at kind of the numbers. When you end up having 92 receptions for 1,152 yards, he has increased his production, especially in touchdowns. You had 5 in 2023, and then you had 14 in 2024. That's good in itself. Look at your receiving yards. Over 50%, he's played 3 years. Over 50% of his receiving yards came this year alone. And then just looking at the defensive side of the ball, each year he's increasing the amount of interceptions. So he started in 2022 with 2 interceptions, went to 3, then went to 4. both of them are good candidates. I know others might have had Cam Ward, Tyler Warren. I feel it's a two-person race, of course, just to have your name sitting in the likes of the others. These two would just be great. But personally, if I had a vote, which I don't, hopefully hit me up. Maybe y'all give me a vote for one of these different awards. I would have to go to Ashton Jeanty. Just what he's doing is amazing. And we're looking at it from the college standpoint. We're not looking at who's going to translate. Personally, both these two might not even translate. You never know what's going to happen. Do I think Primetime is going to do that to Travis Hunter or even his son, Shador? No. But Travis Hunter is the more big-time marketable one. And that's the part that people are going to focus on of, oh, that marketability, we're going to Travis Hunter's side. He had 3 touchdowns and then also 1 interception. That is solid. But then if you flip it on the other side, with someone having over 2,200 rushing yards already, and he has 28 touchdowns. So he's had 312 carries with almost 2,300 rushing yards and then 28 touchdowns. Just in itself, those are numbers I'm personally putting up there with the greats. Just looking at it, how do we end up looking at this? So looking at his career stats, so rushing wise, he's increasing his production every single year. He's going to go finish career with 50 touchdowns, just that solid and alone. He also has 4,400 rushing yards just on the year. Receiving, I would say he does need to improve, but part of it, I would say you have to blame the coaching staff, because in 2022, he had 14 receptions, but then 2023, personally, I would say is his better year as an all-around back, and that's what you want to see. You want to see that translate to the NFL, not just this year, whereas it's that Derrick Henry-esque. You want to see more of the Saquon Barkley, your Alvin Kamara, your Christian McCaffrey when he's not hurt, and those different types of backs. Chase Brown is in that category as well. Tracy up in New York is another one. But in 2023, he had 220 carries with 1,347 rushing yards and 14 touchdowns. And then he had 43 receptions, 569 receiving yards, and then 5 touchdowns. Those are numbers you want to end up seeing translating into the NFL. This year, it's taken a steep decline backwards because he had 312 rushes. So even look at that in itself. So he had more rushes, but then his receptions went down. He had 18. You can kind of just look at that and say, all right, where was the drop off? Because you're using him as that bell cow workhorse, which is great, but it's not good for his development. You want to make sure he can end up catching the ball. And 2023 showed he can catch the ball. And that's what a lot of these teams want to end up seeing going forward. But if I had a vote, again, I would go at Ashton Jeanty. That's just me. We'll kind of see what everyone else says in regards to that. And on that topic, I think I kind of beat the dead horse. We can kind of go over into the NFL, and then we could swing it over into some other discussions that we do have. But looking at the NFL side of things, I want to start with the standings. We usually don't talk about the standings, but I do want to cover it today. Just looking at it overall, we're going to do it from a landscape of each division, and then we'll break it down probably into what the playoff outlook does look like if we were to stop right now. So at 10-2, we do have the Buffalo Bills. 9-3, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers in the AFC North. In the AFC South, we have the 8-5 Houston Texans. They are only 2 games ahead of the Colts. Do I think the Colts are going to catch them? No. Do I think that this is going to come down to the end? Absolutely. Because when you look at the remainder of the schedule, they don't have an easy schedule. They don't have to play they don't have to play the Colts, though. But they have the Dolphins. You need to win that one. You play the Chiefs. Could that be the Chiefs' second loss? I don't know. You play the Ravens. Rematch of the playoffs last year. You need that one, but the Ravens need that one as well. And then you have the Titans. So your 2 wins that I could see you coming out with, the Titans and the Dolphins. Other part is CJ Stroud has taken a second-year slump. You need to end up having Nico Collins get over 1,000 receiving yards. You need Joe Mixon to end up getting over 1,000 rushing yards. That's something we need to end up just solidifying right now. And then just looking at the remainder of the Indianapolis Colts schedule, would it be good to see for his growth and development. Anthony Richardson going to the playoffs? Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great to end up seeing. Will they go anywhere with him? No. Would they go farther with Joe Flacco? Absolutely. But then on the flip side, the Colts have the easiest way to get into the playoffs from the AFC South. And before I say that, I do want to end up prefacing it saying that they technically have to win 3 games. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 games left in the season. The Colts can only lose 1. Even if the Texans lost 2, they'd be tied. But because the Texans have the tiebreaker, essentially, you need to win 3. Like, you have to be a game ahead of them. It can't be a tie. And they finished out the season. The Colts play the Broncos. That might be a loss because the Broncos are solid right now. The Titans, hit or miss. It depends on what day you catch them on. Then the Giants and Jaguars, those should be your wins. So you're going to finish 2-2. Where's your other win going to come from? Because you got to get 3. Could it be that Titans game? Yeah. That Broncos game is a loss. You're playing in Denver too. So that's your loss right there. But even if it ends up coming out that way, you have 4 games left. And I can see them 8-7. I mean, 8-9, 9-8. One of those two, I can see that happening. For the Texans schedule, Titans, they should get that win. Dolphins, they should get that win. If you get those 2 wins, you're done. You only need 2 wins technically to lock up that division. If you can get 2 out of 4 wins, Texans got it. You're finishing with, what is that, 10-7 record? That'll get you in the playoffs. Other part is looking at the Kansas City Chiefs. They have theirs locked up. Los Angeles Chargers, and then the Denver Broncos. The 2 on the spot right now. Overall, looking at this, Ravens should get in. They just have to win. If the Ravens win 1 more game, they're in the playoffs because Dolphins aren't getting in the playoffs. I'm just going to let you know that right now. The Dolphins have to win out. The Jets are not getting in the playoffs. So then you got the Bills, you have the Steelers, you have the Ravens. The Bengals aren't in the playoffs. They got to figure out what they're doing even with their team. So you have the Bills, Steelers, Ravens, Texans, Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos. Is that how it's going to go? Let's see if you end up looking at everything, or is there another team that would end up getting in? Yeah, right now it would be your Chiefs, your Bills. Chiefs would be first, Bills, Steelers, Texans, Chargers, Ravens are 6 right now. Then your Broncos, because then, yep, you get 7 teams in. Chiefs get first round bye. Although, here's my other thing. If the Bills can get the first seed, the Bills might make the playoff. I mean, might make the Super Bowl. You cannot let the Kansas City Chiefs have home field advantage. If you let them have home field advantage, it's over. Bills have to keep winning. If the Bills win out, I could see Josh Allen winning MVP. Home field advantage, Josh Allen winning MVP, getting over his hump again with Patrick Mahomes. And that's going to be the whole setup. It's going to be Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. They've been duking at it for so long. Can Josh Allen get over that hump at least 1 year? And it's almost like the 90s when you had to go through Jordan, end up getting to the champion to get to the NBA playoffs. I mean, the NBA championship. That's really how this is going to go right now. Josh Allen, this is your chance. The Steelers are another one. This is your chance. And if you could end up having, it'd be 2 versus 7, which would be solid. You don't want to face the Chiefs in the first round. Would it be fine to face them in the second round? Yeah, absolutely. But then your best bet, because 2 versus 7, 3 versus 5, hold on. 2 versus 7, 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5. So 4 and 5 winner would play number 1. The Ravens really do want to. The Ravens could stay at 6. It'd be the Steelers and Ravens, and then 4 and 5. For the Bills' hope, keep it this way: Texans Chargers have to play. If the Bills could do it, solid. If the Chiefs get that first spot, then you end up wanting Ravens to slide up in the 4 or 5 spot, and then the Ravens play the Chiefs first round. Well, sorry, the Ravens play the Chiefs second round, and then after that, it would be the Bills Chiefs if all end up going that way. That's the ideal situation for it. That's just on the AFC side. Looking on the NFC side, we do have the Lions that are number one, 11-1. So very similar situations to the Chiefs and the Bills. Lions number one, 11-1. Eagles are 10-2. Seahawks, this is when it just gets murky and ugly because Seahawks are 7-5. Falcons are 6-6. Vikings are 10-2. Packers 9-3. Commanders are 8-5. Right now, it'd be the Eagles against Commanders. If it were to stay this way, Seahawks versus Packers. Packers are taking that one. Falcons versus Vikings. Vikings are taking that one. And then you would have the Vikings playing the Lions. That's tough for them to end up doing. They're 10-2. You want to talk a lot about the Eagles being 10-2, but don't sleep on that other 10-2 team of the Vikings. Then you have the Packers that are there. Another thing is the Commanders cannot slip at all because one loss, you're looking at the Rams, the Cardinals, the Buccaneers. So those 3 teams are all fighting for that one spot. That's really what it is. Everyone else is kind of farther away. But on the flip side of it, the Bucs are looking at it from their playoff position too. The Bucs can end up having the NFC South. So that's one that's still up for debate. I don't think the 49ers are going to do it. They just are having too many injuries right now. There's nothing else I can really see from that side. But breaking that part down, we'll go into the game picks for this week. So Steven already sent me all his game picks. It's more so who am I going to end up choosing kind of going forward. So Packers versus Lions, huge game. Again, just for the playoff outlook and everything that's going on. Steven has the Lions. I can see the Packers winning this game. I had the Lions, of course, just can't go against the Lions right now and what's going on. Next game is Jags-Titans. I don't even know if Trevor Lawrence is going to play. I'm going with the Titans in that one. Nikhil Westbrook is starting to come alive more. He's been good for a touchdown, but of course, the odds makers will be like, gotcha in 2 seconds, so watch that. Jets-Dolphins. I got the Dolphins. The Jets kind of just fell apart. I don't know what Aaron Rodgers is going to do. I'd perfectly be fine if he just left the NFL in a hole. It won't really hurt that many people's lives. Falcons, Vikings. Vikings need that one to stay in contention for that number 1 spot. They're fighting with Eagles and the Lions. One, you have to fight within your division, and then if you can beat out your division, more than likely you'll get that 1 or 2 spot because then the Eagles will get the other spot. Steven has the Vikings in that game. Saints versus Giants. I am going with the Saints. I trust them more. They lost Taysom Hill, which is a really tough one to get over, but I see that they have more weapons right now. Tracy and Neighbors are solid for the Giants. Next year will be exciting because the Giants are one of those places. You have everything in place. Get a coach in there. That's an exciting place to go. Get a quarterback in there. Make it yours. You have a defense that is ready to go as long as that offense can come together. You have foundational pieces at running back, wide receiver, and tight end. Now, what is it that you're going to do at quarterback to solidify that, and you will be fine? Steven has the Saints in that one. Panthers, Eagles, this isn't one that we really need to pick. Oh, by the way, going back to the Jags, Titans, fuck the Jags. But the Panthers, Eagles, we both got the Eagles in that one. Browns, Steelers. Now they switch. Now they're in Pittsburgh. I got the Steelers in this one. Steelers are going to do whatever it takes to end up winning that game because they need it. Raiders, Bucks. I got the Bucks in this one. They need this one. And then if the Bucks can win and the Falcons lose to the Vikings, the Bucks take that spot right there. Steven has the Bucks. Seahawks versus the Cardinals. Believe it or not, they're playing in Arizona. I'm going with the Cardinals. Steven has the Seahawks in this one, but that division's just there. It's one of those of they're going to just punt till next year. The 49ers, the Rams, they're all kind of bunched together. Someone can take it if they really want it. Steven has the Seahawks. Next one, Bills, Rams. Bills are not trying to lose. So I got the Bills in that one. Steven has the Bills as well. You don't bet against Josh Allen at this point in time. Bears, 49ers. All that I said, I'm going with the 49ers. Steven has the Bears, but they kind of fell off. They're going to their third running back right now. Kind of watch that happens. Bengals, Cowboys. So Bengals need this one. Are they making the playoffs? No. But both teams, it kind of just fell apart. It's exciting to see at the beginning of the year just how the Cowboys always are. I'm curious as to what they're going to do in this offseason. They have a couple of decisions that they need to make. Going into the year, you kind of knew how this was going to be. And then the Bengals, they have decisions as well in the offseason. So 1, 2, 3 Cancun. January is going to be important for them. March is going to be a big time because they need to end up doing a lot of re-signings. What are they going to do with Jamar Chase? Are they letting T. Higgins walk? Is Chase Brown the one that they want for the future as well? So keep up with a lot of those. I'll definitely update you guys on what's going on over there. And then I want to swing it over, since we finished everything with the NFL, I want to go back to one of our bread and butter topics, and that is going to be the NBA. So kind of one thing just to talk about with the NBA, it's starting to take shape. That's the first thing I can end up saying. Just kind of looking at how the standings are playing out with that. Of course, the Cavaliers were on their hot streak for a while. Now they're not so much. In the last 10 games, they've lost 3 out of 10. So they're 7-3 in the last 10 games. They are 19-3. The Celtics are 17-4, and then it's a cliff fall off. Other part is, you guys saw in the beginning, the Bucks were down at the bottom, and look at them being able to crawl their way back up. Philadelphia 76ers are at the bottom. I'm not surprised they're going to be in like that 7-10 range when it's all said and done. They have too many superstars for them to even be in the playing games. I really would like to see them in 1 through 6. I don't think this is done being filled out. The Pistons are going right back to where they usually are. The Raptors are going right back to where they usually are. The Hornets are going right back to where they usually are. They were up a little bit more, but again, they're going right back to where they usually are. The other one, the Wizards, I'm not surprised at all. That's the Wizards being the Wizards for you. It's early. We've done, 21, 22 games, and you're already starting to figure out who the teams are that are going to kind of shape the playoffs. You have the Magic that are up there. They're doing good without Paolo Banchero. New York Knicks, they have too much firepower, so they're going to be in that top 6 regardless. The Bucks, you saw what happened. The Atlanta Hawks, I think they're going to fall off. They're not going to stay up where they are right now. Kind of looking at it from the other side of town. So one thing to just look at, the Knicks are 13-8, and then the Timberwolves are 10-10. Just remember that as we kind of go forward. The Thunder are 16-5. So with the Thunder being 16-5, the Houston Rockets being 15-6, it's fascinating just to see those different franchises put the pieces together. Memphis is 14-7, so they've come alive. They're on a 6-game win streak. Does it continue tonight? I think they won, if I'm not mistaken. I believe they played today. No, they lost. So their win streak is over. They lost to Dallas. Ja did have a good game. He had 31 points. Desmond Bane had 19 points as well. So they just didn't have enough. Jaren Jackson is just, I would say, average. Santi Aldama did what he needed to do, but kind of looking at it from the Maverick side, Kyrie only had 10. Luka had 37. And the bench is what did it as well. Spencer Dinwiddie had 16. Daniel Gafford had 11, and then had 4 rebounds. So he kind of put in some minutes. But Clay, it's funny because Klay Thompson, you be forgetting Klay's on the team sometimes. Klay had 4 points. So they were correct in trading him, as bad as it does sound. Of course, he's splitting minutes. Klay is in the starting lineup, but he's splitting minutes with Spencer Dinwiddie at the same point. So you can kind of see that kind of taking shape. Kind of going back, looking at everything to close this out. Because it just flip-flopped. It did update. The Mavericks are number 3. The Grizzlies are number 4. Warriors right now are number 5. and they've lost 4 games. The Clippers are number 6, kind of a surprise. And then you got this annoying group again, which is going to fill itself out. I don't even know if the Rockets are going to stay at the top. They might fall to the play-in like 6, 7 and 10. I could see the Rockets finishing, but the Phoenix Suns are 11-8. Lakers are 12-9. Nuggets are 10-8. I'll see them move up to the top 6. San Antonio Spurs 11-9. I'll see them drop. Minnesota Timberwolves 10-10. They should be able to push up. And then the Sacramento Kings 9-12. That's kind of disappointing. The Pelicans, I feel bad for them. You thought you had something with the team that you had, and it's really not coming together. Utah, I don't really have any expectations right now for them. And then you have Portland. That's just kind of there. But the Pelicans have lost 9 games. So the 2 longest losing streaks are the 15 games with yours truly, the Washington Wizards, as usual. 2 games they won so far. And they're not getting anybody in any of these different drafts that they're doing. So I don't really know what's going to happen with them kind of going forward. Their losses aren't even close. Like, you have a 108-96 loss to the Celtics. That's your kind of like your closest one. You had a 118-98 loss. You had a 125-112 loss, 128-104 loss, 121-94 loss, 107-92 loss, 139-130 loss, 129-117 loss, 124-104 loss, 134-106 loss, 108-96. That's your closest one right there. That, and then the Spurs game, 139-130. Those are them. 115-103, 127-108, 121-96. Where's any goodness happening in this? 124-114, 118-87. All these games are just straight losses. There's nothing even close that's happening. I don't really know what to tell you. And then look who you got on it. The product is terrible. That's all I want to say. Washington, you got to do better. I'll leave it at that. But next week, I just want to let everyone know. So we will legit be 2 a.m. in Sweden because I will be recording this episode in Sweden next week. I'm excited to bring that to you all. Steven should be back with me. He's just taking care of some things, and then we'll kind of be back on the show next week. Good luck to everyone when it comes to the college football playoffs. If you guys are doing that, good luck to anyone that is doing anything with the NFL, fantasy football as well. I have 2 teams that are for sure making the playoffs. I did 7 this year. I don't know why I did so many. So yeah, it's 2 teams that I'm very comfortable every single year doing it, that I'm going to do well. The other 5 teams, 2 of them, I thought I was going to do better than I was doing. One of them I lost because the other team had Jerry Jeudy. I can't really do anything about that when Jerry Jeudy went stupid for over 200 receiving yards. Thought he might only have maybe 50. So that's kind of one thing on that side. And then the other league, it just started off bad. I had Breece Hall. I had Isaiah Pacheco. I just know going forward, I'm not really doing any New York Jets players. It's not really a good system. I also need to focus more on the wide receiver perspective. And that's something I took a risk this year and didn't go with better wide receivers. I focused on other positions, and we see where that got me. The teams that are making the playoffs all have solid receivers. Can you start with good running backs? Yeah, absolutely. But I think I could probably chill on the tight end position. I'll be fine there. You can find a good tight end later on. But if you start with your 2 running backs, get your 2 receivers, even blend that in, maybe running back, receiver, you'll be good. And then get your quarterback in there. So your top 5 picks just being those 5 players, you'll have a solid team to then just fill out everything else. The team that I'm in first place with, I have Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and Jalen Hurts. The other team that I'm solid with, that I'm going to make the playoffs 95%, is James Cook, Saquon Barkley, Kyren Williams. Again, when you have that solid base, you are good, and then you can fill it out. Quarterback, I had Baker Mayfield or CJ Stroud. Not going to use CJ Stroud probably next year. It just doesn't look as if I need him. And those, I didn't even think were my best teams. I thought I had other teams that were going to be great, but this is kind of how it worked out. Anyways, started doing a little rant that I had there, venting. Till next time, this is Hayes. We out.